Kiitos, Kim. Arvoisat osakkeenomistajat. I want to start by thanking you for the past year. You've been standing by us throughout the hardship of 2020 posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. We appreciate your continuous support. I will start by introducing myself and also the leadership team, and we will follow with the general presentation of Rovio. Then I will go through the year 2020 and also say a few words about the company's strategy that we believe will act as a pathway to growth for years to come. So my name is Alex Pelletier-Normand. I am Canadian, and I have a game maker background. I actually started working in mobile games back in 2003, and I was a programmer, and I occupied then different leadership positions and worked on setting up or organizing studios in 6 different countries. I was executive vice president in charge of games at Gameloft before joining Rovio in January 2019 as head of games. And the past 2 years really allowed me to develop a thorough understanding of Rovio's strength, as well as being very deeply involved in the development of the strategy. And the board of directors appointed me CEO of Rovio as of January 2021. Let's now have a look at the leadership team at Rovio. So first up, René Lindell is our chief financial officer. General counsel Minna Raitanen. Heini Kehu is our Senior Vice President in charge of Human Resources. Head of Corporate Development is Jacob Lunger. And then Senior Vice President in charge of Future of Gaming and Angry Birds brand strategy is Ben Mattis. Ben was actually appointed in the leadership team just earlier this year. I feel privileged to be working with this team along with all of the Rovians in the company. Rovio is a highly international, passionate and talented team. We have achieved great things together, and we have the conviction that we will continue to do so in the future. Rovio's culture is very open and honest, taking learnings from past projects to make increasingly better games as we go. Rovio is a global mobile-first game company that creates, develops, and publishes mobile games. We've reached so far 4.5 billion downloads and counting. Rovio is, of course, best known for the global Angry Birds brand, which started as a popular mobile game back in 2009 and has since evolved from games to various entertainment and consumer products. Rovio is headquartered in Espoo, Finland, and at the end of 2020, there were 480 Rovians globally, mainly in our 5 production studios, and the majority of the headcount is based here in Finland. We're aiming to grow, and our strategy supports this ambition in many different ways. The bedrock being a core free-to-play mobile genre. The approach we're using here is to develop what we call genre masteries. And perfect example of this are within the puzzle and slingshot genres. We continuously develop new games, iteratively improving our knowledge of the audience and strengthening our mastery at each release. So we develop an expertise in releasing increasingly performant product, but also in operating them. We're growing our portfolio of live games several years after their releases. On top of our core, we're expanding to new free-to-play mobile genre. For instance, we're exploring right now RPGs and strategy game. The goal is to build new genre mastery over time. This can also be achieved through M&A. We seek for talented teams with a passion to make great games. We want a strong strategic and cultural fit through which we can build synergetic revenue growth. A good example of this is the acquisition of Darkfire Games during the year 2020. For the longer term, we see growth by working in what we believe the industry will look like in 3 to 5 years. This is what we call our Future of Gaming initiatives. When we look at the year 2020, our life changed suddenly. And while this is true in many different sectors, we feel that games are at the forefront of the changes. As the market shifts, opportunities are being created, and we aim at taking them. The foundation of our Montreal studio was made to achieve this, and we're excited by the completely novel games they're creating, taking advantage of the changes in consumer behaviors. We believe those investments are placing us in a good position for longer-term growth. Overarching these pillars is the Angry Birds brand. Today, Angry Birds brand is known by over 90% of the world population. So there's very few brands worldwide with this level of awareness. This is a great advantage in a context where marketing investments are very high. Having a well-recognized brand means that we do not have to advertise it as much. We will utilize the Angry Birds brand further in the future. We also reworked our brand strategy, nurturing Angry Birds so it remains strong for decades to come. We're introducing the brand to players when they're kids, we provide them with highly sociable experiences during their teen years, and we continue to delight them with nostalgia and innovation as they have families of their own. All right, let's talk about the Rovio corporate responsibility strategy. So this strategy is based on Rovio's strategy, Rovio's missions and values, and the responsibility materiality analysis that we did in the summer of 2020. Corporate responsibility strategy has three focus areas. Number one, safe and responsible gaming. We want to provide a safe and enjoyable game environment, so for instance, non-toxic, no bullying, etc., without sacrificing our business opportunities. Number two, people and society. We want to maintain and build a diverse, safe, and fun working environment for our people and make relevant action to promote these values in the larger society. For example, through our UNICEF partnership. And three, climate of an environment. This is very important for us. We aim to completely offset ours and our players' impact on the environment. And we're also leveraging the Angry Birds brand to raise awareness for important climate actions through partnerships. So our concrete action in this area includes carbon offsetting of emission generated in our own operation, and for emission generated by our players, charging, for instance, their devices to playing our games. We are also a founding member of Playing for Planet Alliance that promotes environmental responsibility of the gaming industry. Let's now have a quick look at our roster of studios. Each of them is specialized in their own genre mastery, as explained earlier. They also cover different audiences in the market, providing a diversified portfolio. So we have two studios located in Espoo. Our puzzle studio is the biggest, working on titles like Small Town Murders, Angry Birds Dream Blast, Angry Birds Friends, etc. They also have released Angry Birds Journey in soft launch earlier in 2021. They focus on casual audiences, mainly female, 35 plus. Our strategy studio, also in Espoo, is working exclusively on Hardhead Squad at the moment. They aim at creating the most accessible strategy game in the market, which is a segment usually reserved for more hardcore gamers. Their target audience is mostly male. Then our Stockholm studio is now focusing on what we call advanced casual. If I could explain this in a few words, I would say that it's the broad appeal of casual games in terms, for instance, of art direction, of simplicity of the gameplay, but also deep meta games that are more often seen, for instance, in RPG games and that are associated with deep monetization. All in all, the games that they're working on have profiles that are similar, for instance, to the game Angry Birds 2 that they are also operating. Our new studio in Copenhagen specializes on RPG and joined us in June 2020. And finally, the Montreal studio is leading the charge on our Future of Gaming initiatives. Let's go over Rovio's competitive advantages. First, we have a diverse and strong game portfolio with Angry Birds and other IPs. Small Town Murders is an example of that. We have a proven ability to operate live products for years. We know how to grow games even years after their release through successful live operation. The performance of Angry Birds Friends last year was a good example of this. We own one of the world's most known entertainment brands. Angry Birds is known by over 90% of the world population, and it appeals to all ages. We have talented and skillful teams who are committed to innovation. It's been amazing to see how well we have worked together during the challenging time of 2020. We have successfully managed to execute on our strategy while keeping the spirit high. A big factor of success in the industry today relates to marketing, so the way users find our games. We have a great know-how and expertise in user acquisition and business intelligence, which are key enablers for this type of marketing. We have a strong balance sheet of 138 million euros, and our cash flow was strong all year 2020. This brings great flexibility in a dynamic mobile gaming market. We're able to react in M&A, for instance, or to do more UA if we see an opportunity for it on the market. All this results in multiple avenues for future revenue growth and shareholder value creation through, for instance, exploiting and growing our existing live games, creating new games, so they can be Angry Birds or different new IPs, for instance, working on the games of tomorrow through our Future of Gaming initiatives, and also accelerating those different growth avenues through M&A. Then let's look at the year 2020 and start off with the highlights. We released the game Small Town Murders in Q2, which is a match 3 narrative game. This is a new and exciting segment for us, and it opens a tons of possibilities. So we scale it up to a run rate of 15 million euros annual. In 2020, we also had exciting news about our studio layout. We ended the year in a very different shape than where we started, expanding the studios from 3 to 5. In May, we set up a new gaming studio in Montreal working on future-looking initiatives, and in June, we acquired a studio in Copenhagen having a deep knowledge of RPG genre. Speaking of that studio, it is worth to highlight that the game that they're working on, Darkfire Heroes, is scheduled to be launched in April 2021. Our live games had a solid performance throughout the years. Angry Birds 2 grew year over year in each of the past 3 quarters. We're able to make meaningful updates to the game, and as a result, we're in a very good position to start 2021. Angry Birds Dream Blast grew year over year in total. The game received much less marketing investment on average than it did the previous year, and as a result, it was very profitable. Angry Birds Friend, released in 2012, got back to growth after significant improvement to the game. So the year 2020 ended well for our key games, paving the way for additional growth potential in 2021. Overall, our game performance was stable, even with lower UA investment compared to the previous year, which speaks for the steadiness of our games, and this resulted in high profitability and cash flow throughout 2020. At the end of the year, I was absolutely honored to have been appointed as CEO of Rovio. So the year 2020 has been special for everyone at a global scale. For Rovian, the pandemic has meant work from home since early March 2020. And I really want to salute the tenacity and efforts shown by our teams during this period. They really took the challenge head on, adapted fast, and executed flawlessly on our plans. The full year group revenue declined by 5.8%. Games reported revenues declined by 2.5%, and in comparable currency by approximately 1%. The game's gross booking were stable year on year in comparable currencies. Brand licensing revenues declined by 42.5%. The decline was less than expected due to higher revenue from the first Angry Bird movie in the last quarter of the year. All in all, the game's revenues in 2020 were characterized by a slow start of the year in Q1 compared to the previous year, but then a revenue peak in Q2, partly explained by the shelter-at-home situation, which increased the player engagement within our games. Then the second half of the year was relatively stable. The full year adjusted operating profit was a record 47.2 million euros, and the adjusted operating margin 17.3%. The moderate level of UA combined with stable game revenue explained the high profit for the full year. The game segment almost doubled its profit from 31.3 million euro to 61.7 million. And the brand licensing profit was lower year on year due to overall lower revenues and the additional amortization of Angry Birds Movie 2. The higher profit year over year is reflected in higher cash flow. The full year operating cash flow was a record 63.9 million euro, up from 10.6 million euro in 2019. Our cash balance was 138.9 million euro at the end of the year. And during 2020, we paid 6.9 million euros in dividends and used 30.7 million euro in share buybacks. If we look now at the view per game, our largest game in 2020 was Angry Birds 2, and it was followed by Angry Birds Dream Blast that released in 2019. Angry Birds Friends, which, as stated, had a very good year. And our newest game, Small Town Murder, grew to be our fourth largest game by annualized revenue run rate at the end of the year. I will now read the outlook for the year 2021. The mobile gaming market continues to grow, with casual gaming being a major growth driver. The ongoing changes in consumer behavior and underlying market trends are accelerated by the COVID pandemic and play an important role in both current games operation and new games development. This, combined with industry changes like Apple's privacy policy, fuels the near-term uncertainty in the market environment. We will focus on improving the performance of our key live games and on launching new innovative products. We continue to show diligence in our user acquisition spend. Depending on market conditions, the performance of our investments, and the launch of new games, we aim to increase our user acquisition investments to build growth for the coming years. This may have implication on our short-term profitability. We will continue investing in our future of gaming initiatives, taking advantage of the trends we see in consumer behavior and building our positioning in the rapidly evolving market. In addition, we see growth through synergetic acquisition that can deliver long-term value growth. Recapping this whole presentation, Rovio has all the ingredients to continue to build from our strong position in mobile gaming. We also have the ambition and the vision to take a meaningful role when it comes to future opportunities resulting from changes in consumer behaviors. Once again, I would like to thank you, shareholders, for your continuous support. And I would also like to thank Rovians that continue to raise the bar every day. Iso kiitos kaikille.